Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Wednesday Empowering Education call on behalf of the five of us, the two doctors, Ron Boserman and Ken Pepperdine, Jackie Boyle in Australia, Debbie Ward in Canada, and me, Fawn Christensen, here in the United States. We are delighted that all of you have come today for this real, it's our testimonial community call. And what I love about this call so much is really seeing the faces, the live people, where our amazing products have been impacting their lives and hear it straight from them. So, you know, our Facebook testimonial pages are fantastic, but to get this interaction, this time where we come together and really get to hear directly from people. And tonight we'd like to also give it a little bit of flexibility. So as you are listening to the person who's sharing, if there's something you want to ask them, to go ahead and write it in the chat. And so that we give a little time for interaction with each person. If any of us would like to, you know, clarify something, if it might be that you're thinking of somebody you know that has a similar condition, or whatever that question or even, you know, complimentary comment is, we want to hear from you. We want to make this more of a community interactive call. So please feel free to write into the chat what that is. We'll between the three of us, Debbie, me, and Jackie, will be keeping our eyes out so that we can be saying these things. And I know that Ron will always have something to be giving back with what people share as well. Ken Pepperdine did let us know he wasn't able to be with us tonight. So here we are. I would love to just kind of jump in and enjoy this testimonial time, sharing from the people. Thank you, all of you who have showed up, being willing to share. So with that, how about if we start with you, Jackie?
Thanks, Fawn. And hi everybody, how are you all? So it's morning time down here in Australia and just heading into autumn. So my demeanour is starting to get a little bit not so happy. So I've been speaking all this time, but this testimonial isn't actually about myself. I'm doing two testimonials today if we've got the time to do that. So I'm just reading on behalf of two people. So the first one is a 77-year-old woman. And this particular lady was diagnosed with what they call Wagner's disease 42 years ago. Now, Wagner's disease is a shortened version of about a 25-letter word that I cannot pronounce, but it is a type of leukemia. It's just the next stage up from leukemia. So at the time when this lady was diagnosed with it, she actually was given 2 years to live at that time. So she had gone through the chemotherapy, spent the first, the 2 years pretty much in hospital. Eventually, in the last 6 months, it was backwards and forwards every week going in there. And this was before AIDS really became a really big, a global awareness became aware, like there was an awareness of AIDS where it became the main focus. And her specialist at the time, she said, put her on the back burner, so to speak, and she started to actually have a lot of interns that were looking after her, and she was tired of not having her specialist, and she was literally told to go home and die. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Thankfully, God willing, he decided to put her into remission. So throughout this woman's life, she has been having quite a few problems, and blood flow's been one of them. She's always been a little bit overweight, and that's genetics. Like when you look through her family, you can see that that's been through genetics. But the blood flow for her through the disease has been a constant problem for her. So when I say blood flow, like she's not getting the blood flow down into her lower extremities. So always had a lot of problems with a bit of psoriasis, a bit of ulcers and things like that on her legs. Never been able to heal them. Been to multiple different specialists to try and get them to heal, but nothing would help. Her heart was another problem as well, just due to the heart, the blood flow going through. It just wasn't going through as effectively as what it should do. Blood noses all the time. She'd get headaches. Her sleep patterns were really poor for her. It was a management system that she just wasn't able to get on top of. As she grew older, blood pressure became a real problem for her.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a lot there, obviously.
I'll go very fast, Fawn. Yeah. So she also had cholesterol problems. So basically what happened when she started with Emulin then, I encouraged her to start taking it, but she was only taking 1 a day and then 2 a day and randomly. And then when she decided to get serious into taking the Emulin about 4 months in, things started to change slightly for her, but she didn't tell me. And it wasn't until about 6 months in after she started taking, started off an Emulin M and then went to Emulin E when we started getting that. And what this lady also had was that she had a complete loss of her bowel. So she had 80% of loss of control. So she was having injections directly into the bowel itself externally 4 times a year. So what the Emulin actually did for her, just out of the blue, she rang me one day and said, "You're not going to believe what's happened." And she told me that no longer did she have this lack of control with her bowel. So it had completely diminished. So she had complete control of her bowel again. So she hasn't had to go back and have an injection in her bowel again since taking the Emulin. It seems to have fixed up the internal inflammation, which has been phenomenal. All of the eczema and the inflammation in her lower extremities have all started to clear up for her. She started taking Climax about 8 weeks ago, and that's just fast-tracked that for her. So in general, her general health as such has been just noticeably a lot better. So the bowel has cleared up, the skin has cleared up, her cholesterol and her blood pressure for the first time in 40 years is normal. This is a 77-year-old woman. So it's been quite astronomical for her, and it's really given her life back. At one point she had to actually have a heart restarted again because they just couldn't get a heart rate back down again. It was just way up too high. But this has basically stabilised everything out for her within this. She's only been taking Emulin and then the Climax in the last 8 months. So it's been a really phenomenal journey to date. So I just hope for this lady that it continues to happen and keep improving. So thank you.
I mean, that's like a miracle story is what it sounds like.
It's a very big miracle because this person is very close to my heart. I just have to keep confidentiality for her. But it's just been a very big miracle that it nearly makes me cry, to be quite honest, because it's remarkable to see what she's gone through in her life to be where she's at now.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is the first few months she wasn't too consistent, but then she did get consistent. And could you just help us understand how much she started really taking, Jackie, of the Emulin?
She was dreadful. Like I would ring her every few days and say, "Have you been taking the Emulin?" "Oh, those bloody pills don't work." And I said, "Well, how many have you been taking?" "I've been taking one day and 2 the next, and I forget the next day." And I said, "Well, can you start and get serious and write it down on a piece of paper?" So I got a diary for her and I said, "This is your Emulin diary, so you need to fill it in." So she got consistent with it and was taking 2 a day, and then I got her, and she was taking 3 a day on M. We reduced it back to 2 a day on the E, but it wasn't enough, so we went to the 3 a day on the E. When we started with Climax, I only started her on half a teaspoon a day, just due to what I've found that people have really had if they've been on medications or they're not 100%, they get that, they can get quite a severe detox period, and I didn't want her to go through that. So we just started on half a teaspoon, then we put it into half a teaspoon in the afternoon, and now she has a full teaspoon morning and night. Just sublinguistically in like about 100 mils of water, and just gargles that around in her mouth and drinks that. And what she's just gone through with her husband, her coping skills, he's just gone through major surgery, which will be the other testimonial that I will tell you about later. But what I've really noticed with this lady is that normally she would have been a basket case, like the most negative person in regards to not being able to see anything positive. This has kept her on a level plateau. So there hasn't been any tears, there hasn't been any meltdowns or anything like that. Like, she's really just been able to keep it together, not because somebody's asked her, but because she's just had the ability to do it without even realizing that she's doing it. So it's really beautiful to see what's happened for her at 77. It really is a gift what we've got. Yeah.
So what I'm understanding is Emulin E 3 a day, and then the Climax is taken morning and night, the full serving, and then there's in between she's drinking it in a liter. So it's really even in her bloodstream.
It's just the half morning and night, and then if she needs the extra through the day, like if I said to her if she was feeling a little bit low, because she's a very poor water drinker. So this has been the encouraging part of putting it into the water was to make her drink water, because she would go a whole week and not drink water because she would only drink cups of tea. And I said, it's not good enough. You need to be drinking water. So I said, let's put this blue stuff into the water and you have to drink that. So that's why I put it into the water, into a litre of water. And I said, that has to be gone every day. So she's been drinking water. So that was the reason for why we put it into water in that quantity, because I know it's not suggested, but it's worked.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, so thank you.
Well, thank you. What a way to start. That's wow. Here's the potential of our products. Beautiful. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Yeah, so it doesn't look like anyone else has any other questions, so I guess we'll move right along. And our lovely Mary Beth Jaeger, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on and sharing what your experience has been.
Well, it's my pleasure to come on. That's quite a story to follow.
Really?
But it's so wonderful to hear that, Jackie. I'm so glad you shared that. I started Emulin, I was probably one of the first in February of 17, and I started with M when I was introduced to the company. And I had a back issue. I was in an accident probably about 20 years prior to that. I was rear-ended quite hard. I did the mother seatbelt thing like this before I was rear-ended, and I used my left hand because I wanted to look back to see what was going to hit us. And consequently, when the collision happened, it really torqued my body. It messed up my right side of my low back. It messed up my vertebrae. I have a bulging disc in my neck. It took a while for me to come back from that. And because there was a week, I also ripped a few of the ligaments around my hip. Didn't have to have surgery, but what would happen is my back would go out, as I would call it, just for picking up something. And this would happen probably about once every 2 months, 3 months. So it would take me, my back would seize up, and it would take me probably 5 or 6 days to have that, to work with that so I could even bend over or bend backwards. I noticed after a week that there was a difference because there was a lot of stiffness involved. And after a week, I had to run up 2 flights of stairs to get something on a timely basis. And I didn't even think about it. I just took off. And I had just gotten up that morning. So it takes us a little bit to get going and stretch out. And I ran upstairs and grabbed what I needed and ran back downstairs and handed it off. And I just paused and I said, what the heck? I just ran the 2 flights of stairs. There was no stiffness involved. There was probably about, I would say, an 80% improvement in the stiffness that I had. And so my mouth dropped open because I'd been dealing with this for so many years. And then I noticed that my muffin top was kind of slowly going away, and my double chin was kind of going away. And I noticed that my attitude was a little bit nicer. Probably 4 months in, I also had I had a neuropathy on the bottom of my foot. I mean, I've been in the salon spa industry. I've always worked on my feet. And this neuroma that I had really prevented me. I mean, I'd love to go for walks, and I could only go probably a mile, where it felt like I had lightning out 2 of my toes. And I had to walk on the side of my foot. And I had that for probably, I'd say, 14 years. And I know they wanted to do surgery, and I just said no, I would deal with it. 4 months into taking Emulin, it was completely gone. So I can proudly say to this morning, I walked another 4.5 miles. I have no problem. I can wear high heels. I wasn't able to wear anything up. I can wear heels if I want to. I don't have that pain anymore. It's been gone for, I would say, 11 months. So it's really, really exciting. My blood pressure is now normal. I had been on high blood pressure medication, a low dose, but for probably about a year. I no longer am on that. I lost a lot of fat.
How much?
And one of the things I'm going to talk about is being a woman of my age. You know, I'm 62 years young. Sometimes, you know, when you coughed, you know, your bladder might have leaked a little bit. When you sneezed, you know, I have, that's all gone. I don't have that problem anymore, which is really exciting. I don't have hot flashes anymore, which is really exciting. My outlook is good, and I sleep great. So with Emulin, I don't think I've missed a dose ever, and I'm not going to, because it's really, really helped me. And today, because I came down to Phoenix and was able to pack my summer clothes from last year, which I had to adjust the size last year, I put them on and they're way baggy. So I've lost even more, or firmed up, or gotten rid of fat. So it's really exciting to feel that. And then I started Climax in January, when it, you know, yeah, it was about January, maybe the 31st is when I got my Climax. And I have to say that it has helped my hair growth, which was exciting to see, because I was in the hair industry. So when people said, you know, my hair's coming back, I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And I had been going through a little bit of a stressful time, and I had lost some hair. You know, it thinned out, and I was going through it. I can now go like this, and there's no hair in my hands. And I have all these little things coming up. So to really see this as a prior salon owner, hairdresser, is really exciting, because I used to sell hair vitamins years ago. The other thing is I had small little red spider veins down by my ankles. Not that a lot of people could see, but I could see. Those are gone. I don't know where they went, but they're not there. And I'm pretty light, so we know we can see those. And the other thing that I've really noticed that's improved too is I have better skin. You know, right here is not as pronounced. My eczema is completely gone. So I'm not going to stop. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I'm, you know, I'm pretty healthy. I'm even healthier now because of the exercise that I can do. And, you know, I have to tell you, it's been 15 months since I've had a Coca-Cola or any type of soda. Don't want it. So it's exciting.
I mean, this list goes on and on and on, Mary Beth. This is very, and it's like I'm hearing like this new woman that
there is
the femininity, right?
And look at, I have biceps, and I don't work out.
Hear her roar.
You better not.
Well, you know,
it's been exciting.
Power pose. Wow. And so just so I'm clear, how much Emulin are you taking, and how much Climax are you taking?
I take 2 Emulin E, and I take a half a scoop twice a day. Pardon?
Do you take your Emulin E at the same time, just 2 in the morning?
I do. I have, I remember Dr. Ahrens, when I was on Emulin M, said, and this was after the first 7 days. I took it, faithfully 3 times, 15 minutes before I ate. But, he said, well, once you have it in your system, and I know that there's been times they've said that and they say take it with the meal. But since I've really lost a lot of fat by taking it all at once, I've just continued to do it. I do it the first thing in the morning with a full glass of water, and then I take my Climax, and then I go on my walks.
And you take a half a scoop of Climax?
A half a scoop in the morning. It's it's actually a teaspoon I take. I take a little teaspoon, a regular teaspoon.
Okay.
But I do it in the morning, and then I do it late afternoon.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's been, I love it. It's the best stuff. It is.
Mary Beth, can I ask you, like when you're talking about putting on high heels and having back pain, and do you get any sort of reoccurring twinges of pain after you've wore heels, like when you get into bed of a night? Like that's when usually we feel everything.
Yes, I know.
That's all gone, has it?
Yes. And I worked on my feet. I mean, I dragged my foot home, in flats, because, when you have that nerve pain going out 2 of your toes, it was like lightning bolts going out of my toes. And when you have that, it's pretty painful. And then with my back too. And I have to tell you, I have not had any Advil or ibuprofen. And I used to take up to 4 at a time to just manage the pain, or when my back would, flare up. My back has not flared up at all. I can bend, I can bend over without even stretching and touch my toes almost flat-handed, which is incredible for me, where I don't have to stretch out. So I have a lot more range of motion.
So did you have surgery on your lower back?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. I had an MRI. I had to have like 8 weeks of physical therapy, because the tendons or ligaments that ripped were the ones that propelled your leg forward, sideways, and backwards. So I couldn't walk up an incline. I was a mess, and it took some time, and it took some physical therapy. And throughout the years, I have been to chiropractors when my back would go out, because it was like, if somebody would come walking at you really fast and you had to flinch, you were just going to go down. You were going down to the floor. And that's just the way it was. And you couldn't go either way. And it would be like that for 4 or 5 days, and sometimes a little bit longer. It would, eventually get better, but it was ibuprofen, it was ice first, then it was heat, then it was trying to do stretches, and they say, don't, just lay there, keep going. So you would get up, and, I wouldn't sit for very long. I try and keep it, working, but it was a pain in the butt, and it slowed me down, and I didn't like anything getting in my way, So this has really been so much better for me. I haven't had, since then, my back has not gone out at all, which is unheard of.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think I've counted it all. So neuroma went away.
Yep.
You lost a lot of fat, which you didn't tell us exactly, but if your dress sizes are going down.
3 sizes.
3 sizes down.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yeah. And
all of these hormonal, a woman of our decade, the hormonal imbalances start to really have their impact. And in so many ways, with your hair coming back, your skin, maybe you didn't mention sleep, but you just, it's like you really do sound like you've been a reborn woman.
It feels like it. I feel younger now than I felt when I was probably 45.
Yeah.
And that's a couple years ago. That's why I remember 73. I was a junior.
Very good. How do you not just want to yell that from the rooftops, right? This is
I love sharing it. I love sharing it. I really do. I actually, my friend here surprised me with a home massage. She brought her masseuse in yesterday. And I haven't had a massage in like 2 years. It was such a treat. And then as I explained it to her, she said something about, the masseuse said, what about fibromyalgia? Well, she already bought a bottle of and her sister is a masseuse in Minneapolis.
Not buy a bottle.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, you just can't help but you know, share it.
Yeah.
It's just really exciting.
Very exciting.
So,
well, we love that you shared, and we love you, Mary Beth. So thank you.
I gotta run. Sorry.
That's okay. We understand. We know. You let us know. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so next up, how about our Radiant One, Stephen Serna? If you want to let us know where you're calling in from, Stephen, and the floor is all yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm calling in from Warner Springs, California. We're just outside of San Diego. And about a year ago, Fawn had called me and introduced Emulin to me. And so I went ahead and I was going to try. She said, I really think that this can help you. So I went ahead and I ordered a bottle. And as the bottle was coming in the mail, the universe kind of stepped in, and I ran into people that were talking about how you can reverse any issues that you have, or how your body can heal just through diet and lifestyle change. So by the time my bottle of Emulin had arrived, I had already made a decision that I was gonna. Oh, by the way, a year ago, I've been a type 2 diabetic for 2 years. I was on 8 different medications for everything you can imagine, which is what the doctors put you on when you become diabetic, whether you have those issues or not. So by the time the bottle had gotten here, a bottle of Emulin had gotten to me, I had already made a decision that I was going to go cut out all my sugar, go low carb, and increase my exercise. And that's exactly what I did. So the first few weeks, in a very short time, my numbers, my glucose numbers, my blood pressure, everything started coming down, which was awesome. So I started decreasing my meds as time went on. And so fast forward about the beginning of this year, I was off all my meds except for just a little bit of insulin and a little bit of metformin. And my insulin usage went from 70 units a day down to 20. And my metformin went from 2,000 milligrams a day down to 500 milligrams a day. And I was, happier than you can be. Problem is I kind of ran into a block wall. I stayed there. It wasn't coming down anymore. So I stayed like that for a couple of months, and I'm thinking, well, what else can I do? I didn't know what else to do. So during that time, again, the universe steps in. And I ran into a nutritionalist who introduced me to a whole food plant-based diet. And by the way, when I cut out all my carbs and sugar, I kind of increased my dairy and meat intake, because it's like I got to have something, right? So that was the final block. Was I was eating too much meat and dairy, and that was stopping me from getting over that last little bit. So I ran into this nutritionalist, and he was talking, everything he said made sense, and he was backing it with a lot of facts, and it kind of planted the seed, but I wasn't quite ready yet. A week later, I ran into a pediatrician that was starting to move away from all the pharmaceutical meds and more into natural healing. And I told her my story. And she recommended a book called The End of Diabetes by Dr. Joel Furlman. And I didn't get it right away. I wrote it down and everything, but I didn't get it. And my wife, a couple of days later, brought home a documentary. And it was about this guy that was going to be juicing all the way across the country from Australia, because he had some health issues. And who was overseeing his juicing diet for the 3 months was Dr. Joel Furlman. So I ran and got my phone, got on Amazon, ordered the book right away. It was here in a few days. And this book, I mean, this was a key for me through people recommending it and through seeds being planted in me by a nutritionalist. But it has really opened my eyes about what diabetes is. How I knew that insulin and metformin are bad for you, but I didn't realize how bad they are for you. And I mean, a type 2 diabetic should never even be put on insulin, and I've been on it for years. So, and he went right into where the nutritionalist had left off. He went right into the whole food plant-based diet. Well, I went off of meat and dairy about a month ago. I've been doing my whole food, and my and by the way, beginning of the year I had lost 20 pounds and I had gained back another 10 when I was at that stagnant point. So I was back up a little bit weight wise, and so he had so since I've been off of the meat and the dairy, I've been on my whole food diet, my whole food plant-based diet. Those 10 pounds have come off again in the last month without any effort, without any extra effort, I should say. And my glucose numbers started coming down again. So I was I was stagnant at that 20 units a day. Now I'm down to 10 units a day, and my numbers are looking great. And that was the last piece of the puzzle. That was the last piece that I needed just to get over that last little bit. So I'm very confident that within a month or two I will be off of everything, and my diabetes will be completely reversed. I know it will be, because I'm back on the downslide of the high glucose levels. So almost there.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, I mean, it's beautiful, Stephen, so the Emulin in those first 4 months really made a huge difference for you. And you had made that decision when you started taking the Emulin that you're also going to change your lifestyle habits and have better nutrition. And I remember you talking about you were walking again, and I mean, going for your morning 4-mile walks and getting this whole new level of health. And then just like what the 2 doctors were talking last week on that whole pyramid, right? The foundation, yes. That we do have to have our foundation in place. And when you hit that, what you're calling a stall, or, that it was now another level of really, really taking in the nutrition that is going to work the healthiest for your body. And all the while, you're taking the Emulin, the medications are going down, 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 and you are just letting yourself really have this healthy lifestyle. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yep. Yeah. And when I started this a year ago, if somebody would have, this diet that I'm on is called the nutritarian diet. And if somebody had introduced this to me a year ago, I would have just been like, I can't do that, but a month ago or so when I was introduced to it, or actually a little bit over a month ago, when I was introduced to it, I was ready for it. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This is, and in the documentaries that I've seen and in this book, it's talking about how meat and dairy can inhibit your pancreas from doing what it's supposed to do. It still produces the insulin, but it's just not letting it in. And when the doctors were talking last Wednesday night, it was all in line with what was in this book. And one thing I did forget to mention was a year ago when I started taking the Emulin, I was getting ready to have carpal tunnel surgery on my left side. I had it on my right side years ago, and I've been fine ever since. But the pain would go all the way up my arm, all the way through my shoulder into my neck, and I had very little use of my left side. And I was getting ready to have surgery done on that. And after about a month of Emulin, it was gone. Everything was fine. It just went away, and I didn't have to do the surgery, which was awesome. So
that is awesome. And so one question I have, you made that statement that a year ago you could never have seen yourself eating this way that you've now fully embraced. So do you attribute the Emulin to giving you that ability to have evolved in your health levels?
Absolutely.
to embrace it?
The emulent's been a big part of it. And probably a little over a month ago, I heard Brian talking about that he had increased his emulant use. So I did the same thing too. And that also helped with bringing everything down. Yeah, I increased my emulant use, and that helped also.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
Great.
Because I never realized that it was based on a 150-pound person.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a really important factor, isn't it, when we're talking to people to understand.
Yeah, so I doubled up on that, and that's also helped quite a bit.
Fantastic. I love this. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask Stephen to be sharing in diabetes? Besides everybody, I see these smiley faces, so we're delighted you shared with us, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Okay. So from here, I guess we're going to mosey on over to Texas and hear from our Lauren Vines. How about?
Yay, Texas. Off of mute. Wow. It's been a short time. Seemed like an annulant for an entire year because my life has just really turned around. And I was thinking about it earlier, and I thought, the real overview of what I have felt from Emulin and what it has done for my body is, this hindsight's really kind of 2020. It's empowered nature that created my body to heal my body. And to me, that's so harmonious to know that it's not some plastic medication or polyceuticals to correct the side effects of that medication. It really treated the origin of my issues instead of my symptoms. And that's what I've been looking for my whole life. So here I am. That's a big wow for me because my body was really not functioning well, lots of pain, and my energy was terribly low. So what I have benefited from taking my Emulin, and
Lauren, just because not everybody knows how you started, what your condition of when you began Emulin. So if you could just briefly fill us in on that.
Well, I've got one story that's going to tell it a little bit further down. I was really to the point of being dysfunctional and being able to follow through with my life because my body had just taken such a nosedive, and I was not able to think. I was not able to move around a lot. Of course, my energy, my pain level was just phenomenal. I mean, it was really prohibiting me from living the life that I needed, and I was having to step back from life. And I thought, I'm getting old entirely too fast. This is not fun. And I still had a lot of things I wanted to do. So that's a big wow for me. Now I am no longer taking any opioid medications for my pain. In fact, I'm not taking any pain medications at all unless I stump my toe. I'll take something if I have to. I'm having a lot more energy, greater endurance. I lost 40 pounds in the first 5 months.
Wow.
My mind cleared considerably. I started at least seeing that my mind had been foggy, and that's a big step. That's a big step. So generally, I'm looking and feeling much, much younger. So I've got 2 stories I want to share that'll kind of help to show really where I was and kind of a funny reflection too. The first one is I've got a 15-year-old grandson who's also autistic, who also loves strawberries and gardening. So a couple of weeks ago, we were out in my yard gardening, planting strawberries. So he was down here and he just looked at me so seriously. He's got such a precious heart and he's such an intelligent little guy. And he said, Granny, you don't look nearly as old as you used to look. And that was really a blessing to my heart because I was feeling like I was not nearly as old as I used to be. So it's really, the 3 M's when I first started is what got me to conference. And then when I started taking the E, I started taking 2, and then I started taking 3, so I bumped that up. But anyway, the other story I was going to tell was one I've not told anyone before. Is last week I was at my doctor's appointment for my annual checkup. And he was, we were through with everything. We were sitting there. He was checking off everything in my file to see if there's anything else he could think of. And I thought he was looking hard. And he's always saying, well, what are you taking now? What are you doing now? I know you don't want any prescriptions. You don't need any now. But he had a little piece of paper that he pulled out of my file, and he tore it up. And I said, what was that? And he said, you don't need that anymore. And I said, yeah, but what was it? He says, you remember about a year ago when you were here and you were not doing well at all. And I was going on a long vacation. And you wouldn't let me write you any other prescriptions, but I wrote this one and I put it in your file in case you needed it. And I said, what was it? Wow. He said it was a prescription for me to receive a handicap placard for my car because he felt that I needed it. And now he could tear it up. So that makes me feel really great to know that I'm not nearly as old as I used to be. That just kind of makes me cry, just because I was at that level of really having my doctor know that I was at that point. Instead of being active and doing the things I wanted to do, I was so close to needing a handicap sticker. So I'm pulling on through that and moving on to my Clamex, my stem cell releaser. I'm just in love with Clamex and Emulin, so I could go on forever, but I won't go that far. The end of December is when I started taking my Clamex, and I was having the drastic cognitive brain function. There was problems with that because of a childhood injury that I had had in all my life. I had struggled with that, and I had to go the extra mile, because of the brain issues. And I was willing to do that because I had stuff I wanted to do, and I accomplished a lot because I did push through it. About 10 years ago, it started turning toward a negative, and I was really losing grasp. And 5 years ago, it was worse, and 4 and 3 and 2. And 1 year ago is when I had been to the doctor when he was thinking I was about to need this handicap sticker. So I started taking the Emulin just because I really just couldn't function. I was losing the quality of my life, and I knew that I wasn't going to fill everything on my bucket list. That was the big deal. So the Emulin has made a difference in my life. It has turned my life around. So now my cognitive brain functions are phenomenal. My thinking has improved. My eyesight, I've got glasses if anyone knows where I can donate them. My memory is so much more functional. My mood, and this is all a work in progress. It's not finished yet. And I still have a lot of ways to grow and improve. But the Clamex, one thing I've noticed with the Clamex is it seems to boost the efficacy of the Emulin. And to me, that is a giant difference because, the Clamex added with the Emulin has really given me a lot of hope in my life that I can now pick up and have a functional life again, which I was losing. I was losing fear. I was having fear and losing hope. So here I am, 66 years old, and I'm living my life younger. Woo!
Yeah.
And I'm leaving a healthier legacy for my family. That's the big bottom line. So I thank you to Galen and to my upline who was instrumental in my process. And that's all I can think to say without going on for an entire day.
I find it so moving. And again, here, it's like, here's another woman reborn. I love it.
Yes, baby.
Reborn. This is so beautiful, Lauren.
Yeah. It turned my life totally around. I get carded now if I'm wanting a senior discount. And I'm kind of going, okay. That's almost worth $5 right there.
That could be the tagline now, right?
Yeah.
Do you know, Lauren, I remember in Vegas, I asked Dr. Ahrens, why are we going to still take Emulin? when we all sat there and we had Climax presented to us, and I personally sat there and cried from having stem cell therapy done, and I'm thinking, this is a gift from God that we've been given with Climax.
Yes.
Doctor, and I thought Emulin is also, but Dr. Aaron said, and I will never forget this because I explain this to people because it's asked me quite often, why take both? And he said to me, because Climax is like the chaperone that Emulin sits on, that takes it down to deeper levels than it's able to get on its own, a lot quicker and a lot more effectively.
Yes.
So what you're just saying now just sits right in line with that. So you make me cry with what I've just heard, with what you've just told. So thank you for sharing.
This has been such a joyous journey. It's really been one of these times where, you know, I've lost hope, and here comes something that truly turns my life around. So how can anyone not want to share that? It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Fills my heart. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Ah, well, I certainly am getting filled up with these shares. So thank you. Shall we move along? Just because I am seeing the time and wanting to honor that. And Candi McComb, thank you so much for being willing to come and share with us. And I'd like to hand it over to you if you can let us know where you're calling from and your story, please.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, beautifully, Candi. Thank you.
Okay. I'm in Saskatchewan.
Sandy, you're on the screen twice, and so we're hearing two voices.
Okay. That's right.
It's echoing.
So I think the second
computer, open?
Could we turn the volume off the second computer? Right. But now, oh wait, let's unmute Candi as she's talking. Okay, Candi, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm in Saskatchewan. I signed up in August. I never got really serious until about the early part of November. I got my bottle of Climax in late December from Ellie. And in that first 2 months of November and December, I really noticed the difference. The pain level was gone. I'd had about 30 industrial accidents in my life, and they all cause havoc in your body somewhere. I worked outside. I worked pipeline construction for those years, and I was in a lot of pain. I was not paying attention really, but I started taking pictures of my hair, and it started turning darker at the roots and at the back. When I started the Climax in the end of December, I noticed I lost the pain it wasn't really sharp, but it was still there, and it was in my back. The other things that I came along, I had a surgery coming up the end of February. So by that time, I was able to lose about 35 pounds. Wow. I went off the product prior to surgery as instructed, and that 5 days waiting after surgery felt like forever. I had a full hysterectomy, so I had all kinds of hot flashes and reactions. And the second day I was back on the Climax, everything was gone. It was just gone. And I know I healed way faster than I would have. I still had lots of energy. Right from the beginning, I slept way better. I didn't have to get up in the night like I did before. After surgery, they tell you can't lift anything that's more than 5 pounds. I gauged myself. I still was like up 14, 15 hours, busy doing things. I had the energy I needed. my granddaughter had a toothache, and I'm still using it now because I need to make an appointment. But just holding the Climax in your mouth will pull the pain out. And I've used that several times on different things that have happened to me, just knowing that it'll absorb so fast into the body. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm just taking all that in. It's such a beautiful testimony about how quickly the body responds after the surgery. I mean, to hear that you had all your energy back to have this recovery so quickly, that's phenomenal. That really, the body is such a resilient thing when we give it the right sustenance, right? And it sounds like the Climax with the Emulin has really been key for you.
And I think too, it's brilliant, Sandy, that you're holding it in your mouth and thinking to do that, because you're getting that direct sublingual absorption. And even with water held in the mouth, it will go to the brain quicker than if it's swallowed. So if people need an emergency response, what an easy way to get it, to just get results faster. So that's a good thing for people to know.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a great tip for us all to remember. I love it.
Sandy, can we ask, somebody in the chat line has just asked, what amount of Climax are you taking each day, please?
After surgery, I started taking a full scoop in the morning and in the afternoon, and I just kind of sip it all day long. I don't try to use it all at once. I don't want it to go away. I get more of a boost from it by just taking a little bit at a time. When I first started, I just took that half a scoop a day, and I was out for 2 weeks, and boy, did I miss it. I had aches and pains that I didn't even know existed, and as soon as I started taking it again, it was gone.
Great. And how much Emulin do you take, Sandy?
I took one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I went to a physiotherapist that actually did some work on my back and pinched the nerves.
Oh.
So I started taking...
That's not the idea.
No. I started taking 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and really, really being careful, like everything I ate, how I walked. It was pretty bad for 2 weeks, and it's going away, so it's healing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, are there any other questions that you're seeing? And any other comments that anyone wants to jump in?
Yeah, I'd like to say to Stephen, thank you for drinking water the whole time. That's a very good thing to be doing. And changing your diet, a critical thing to do. And I think what we have with Emulin Climax is we feel good, and when we feel better, we're going to always look to how can we make it even better. If I change my diet, maybe even better results. And listening to Jackie in your very first testimony about the 77-year young, and I'll say that because I'm only a few years behind that, but not drinking a lot of water and having that great response. Imagine if she was drinking half her body weight in water. Whew.
Yeah. Great point, Ron. Great. Thank you.
I would just like to add something too. This is Ellie. And I'd just like to thank Sandy for coming in and sharing her testimony. And Sandy has had such amazing results. She just shared a little bit tonight. But her daughter, Charlene, is a massage therapist. And Charlene is a huge part of our team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you guys all to know that Sandy is, she's being very modest tonight with her results from these Galen products. And I want to thank you, Sandy, for stepping up to the table for our team. She's taking one for our team. Because we're pretty low key over here, our group. And I want her, I'm very proud of her and all that we're doing, and not that we're doing, but that what Galen is doing for so many people. And thank you, Sandy. And thank you, Fawn, for asking her to speak up tonight. Appreciate that.
You're right. And I wish I could take credit for that, but I know it was Debbie Ward that went directly to Sandy. But I want to thank her as well. And I want to thank you, Ellie, for coming in and sharing more. And I really hope that we get to hear from Charlene on one of these calls in the near future. So we'll be talking more about that. But also, you know, we have one more person who is willing to come forward and share tonight. So I really want to give her time as well. And that is Candi McKee. I guess we didn't get the camera going, Candi, but you are here.
No, we didn't. I couldn't get the camera going on my computer, so
okay.
I'm talking on my phone instead.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Candi.
And where are you calling in from, Candi?
Sorrento, BC, in British Columbia.
Okay, you cut out there for just a moment. So British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah. Sorrento.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I believe we can hear you. So we would love to hear your story, Candi.
Okay. It's a long one, too.
Well, we are at the top of the hour, just to give you a clue. I apologize. But anyway, yes.
Doesn't matter. We got all the time in the world for good testimonies.
That's right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jen.
All right. I was getting hives every day, sometimes 3 times a day, and the hives would send my blood pressure sky high. And so I'd really feel awful. I was nauseated all the time. I had a sore throat. My ears hurt, and my voice goes hoarse when I get the hives. And then I'd get itchy lumps on my neck and my face. And I'd be dizzy, and I'd have no energy. I wouldn't feel like doing anything. And so with this hives coming around 2 to 3 times a day, it was sending my blood pressure sky high. And the doctors didn't know why I was getting the hives, so they put me on blood pressure pills. But they never realized that it was related until about a year ago. So consequently, in 2015, I had a stroke from the hives because it sent my blood pressure so high. So, and then after I got out of the hospital between October 2016 and February 2017, I ended up taking the ambulance ride to the emergency 6 times with high blood pressure from the hives. It wasn't fun.
Wow, it doesn't sound like it.
So I started taking Benadryl to calm the hives, which they finally discovered that the Benadryl really did help some when my blood pressure, it would take my blood pressure back down. I started on the Emulin in April 2017, and it did work to manage my blood pressure more, but it was still all over the place, and I was still getting the hives some, but it kept me out of the hospital, that's for sure. So between the Emulin and the Benadryl, I managed my hives to stay away from the hospital. So when the Climax came out in December, sorry, I got to go back here. The doctors also discovered that I had a cyst on my adrenal gland, and so I had that taken out in January. They thought that was what was causing the hives because my body was releasing too much adrenaline and cortisol. But they found out after they did it that it wasn't the real reason for why I was getting the hives all the time. So I started taking the Climax in February after I got out of the hospital because I was feeling really terrible after I got out of the hospital too. I thought, well, there's no end to this stuff. But by the time I was on the Climax, and I was taking the Emulin with it too, for 2 weeks, I started feeling a lot better. My hives were gradually disappearing. And I do get a bout of them every once in a while now, depending on what I'm doing and stuff, I guess. I don't know. But some days I don't even take the Benadryl anymore. My hives have gone down by 85% because I still do get a little bout of them sometimes. And so with this improvement, my blood pressure's been stable. Haven't had to worry about it too much. I'm still on my medication, but I'm hoping to go off of it too. I've also, being on the Climax for 2 weeks, I noticed that I don't have ringing in my ears anymore. My restless leg syndrome is gone. My sinus is cleared up, and I've lost weight. And then the discomfort in my hips and feet, which is another thing I had, has gone down by 75%. Let's see. Oh, also I had a tooth where the gum had been swollen and was bleeding when I would floss. In fact, it had been like that for 4 years. And so when I was at the dental hygienist in February, she suggested that I go to the periodontist and get the gum cut away from the tooth so that the food wouldn't collect underneath it. But now that I've been on the Climax, the swelling's gone down and the gum's gone back to normal. And I had that for 4 years.
Wow.
So and now I'm sleeping way better. I have more energy. I have a clear mind and memory is improved. And I get up with every day now with a new lease on life. I feel like doing something. So with doing something, that means that I feel more like exercising and getting back to my, the other stuff that I was doing before.
Yeah.
So another benefit is I've lost 8 pounds and 6 inches since I started on the Climax. I didn't seem to lose anything on the Emulin, but I'm losing it on the Climax with the Emulin.
Wow.
So that's my story.
Wow, that's very interesting. So many people noticed on the Emulin right away the weight loss, and you're noticing it on the Climax. So every system is different, but they both have high anti-inflammatory properties. So you can see, the underlying cause of so many things that are being helped are inflammation. Inflammation, and so that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. I'm going to stay on this stuff for the rest of my life.
I guess so. Yeah, it's fabulous what's turned around for you. And may there be no more hives ever.
And rush trips to the emergency.
Really.
And I'm looking forward to going off of the blood pressure pills too, which I know will happen one day.
And one of the things that in your story that's striking me from, I think it was Lauren that brought it up, and maybe Debbie, you emphasized that, was how you really got benefits from the Emulin, and then the Climax came in and enhanced the efficacy of the Emulin as well, so that there's this real balancing out in the whole system. It's how they work together. There's some synergistic happening here that I think is really interesting to be hearing about. Yeah. And maybe it's more for us women, that are in certain decades. I don't know but I'm really hearing how important the synergy is with both of them. I like that.
Yeah.
Candi, it's Jackie Boyle here, and sorry, what a great testimony, and thank you for sharing. But I wanted to ask you, when you're looking at hives or anything to do with the skin, it's usually coming from the gut internally itself. So have you done anything to change your diet whilst you've been taking Emulin and Climax along the way? Has anything changed for you in your choices that you've chosen to consume, like with food and with liquid that you're taking in?
I've cut way back on my sugar and the carbs. And I drink probably 2 liters of water a day.
Yeah, key.
So you weren't doing that before?
I was always drinking lots of water, but it's the carbs and the sugar that I cut back on now too.
Okay.
But I wasn't eating all that much sugar and carbs before, but still, I think it makes a big difference.
So internally then possibly your gut health has become a lot healthier, which has come out through the largest organ of our body, our skin.
Yeah, yeah. And the doctors don't know. I went to the specialist too for the hives, and they don't even know where the hives come from because I had never had hives before in my life.
Right.
I just started getting them 4 years ago.
And you know what's really kind of, well, sad in a way is, you know, something was removed, a surgery to remove an adrenal, one of the adrenals, because, well, maybe that's it. And, you know, isn't it sad that that's sort of the
or did they take the cyst?
What was that? You were fading out.
Did they actually remove an adrenal gland? Or
yes.
Oh, wow.
There was a cyst on it that they thought was causing the problem.
Right.
I actually do have a benefit from it being taken out, is that I don't have the throbbing in my back anymore like I did before.
So they took the cyst and the gland that the cyst was attached to, you're saying?
They had to take both, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And but it turned out that wasn't the major cause of the hives. When you it's like, okay, we'll try this. That didn't work, but we can't put it back.
Take out those internal organs, you know, let's, you know, just remove it and, you know.
There's no turning back when we do that.
That wasn't the issue. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're so glad that you're doing both the Climax and the Emulin and the results. I mean, to get your life back simply by not having to be rushed to the hospital so often. And you're experiencing things every day. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So happy.
No kidding.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm hearing another woman, reborn woman.
There's a thread through all our testimonies, isn't there?
Yeah.
That women are getting their lives back. Men, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say,
didn't want to leave you out there.
Stephen doesn't look like a woman to me. He looks like an old man, Stephen. I'll just put that one out there.
You're just outnumbered, Stephen, that's all. I'm sure there's as many men out there getting good results, but women maybe are just a little braver at coming up on camera and talking about it.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Well, it's fabulous.
Were there anyone want to make comment or question with Candi?
Candi, did you mention how much you were taking of the product?
Oh, no, I didn't. No, I'm taking 2 Emulin and a scoop of the Climax.
A full scoop.
And I take my Emulin. Pardon?
A full scoop of Climax once a day, or divided?
No, I only take it once a day.
Okay.
I take it about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever I remember. Oh, I haven't taken my blue stuff yet.
Okay. Because sometimes dividing that up gives you benefits, you know, at each time. I know that's been recommended just because it does have a fairly immediate effect. And so sometimes there's more benefit by spreading it out a little bit over the day, or taking it half the dose 2 times a day, just so you're getting those benefits extended throughout the day. So you might want to try that, just see if your results get even better.
Sure, I can try that. Yeah. See if they do get better. If they don't get better, I'll just take more too.
Well, that's always an option.
And this is Lauren, and I might add that I am taking a teaspoon morning, mid-afternoon, and at bedtime. And since I know that it works so well with the Emulin, I'm taking them at the same time. It's kind of my reminder. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking, the Emulin and the Climax, and I'm getting a big boost, and I'm sleeping much better, having taken that just before bedtime too.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Great. Okay, Ron, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to add something too?
I just think these calls are amazing, you ladies, and Stephen, awesome testimonies tonight again. I didn't want to miss it. I had another thing to do, but I just love hearing stories because I know what I'm teaching is maybe beginning to get through a little bit when we combine diet with our supplements. Right. And I think that's so important. And if we can get that message through to people, it really is a paradigm shift because, I remember as you were talking about removing the adrenal gland, or the doctors doing that, Dr. Mendelsohn, he was a pediatrician, and I was at a convention listening to him speak one time. He said, you know, the body is wonderfully made, but he said, God made one little mistake. He said he put the tonsils a little too close to the surgeon's knife. They kept a lot deeper down.
Yeah.
I'm missing my tonsils, and that's part of our immune system, which back in the day when I was, 70 years ago, they didn't know anything about an immune system. Or the appendix, the same thing. So all those parts are there for a reason. We just got to feed them the right raw material, get the right supplements in, and boy, we're going to have a good, healthy, productive life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Ron. This whole paradigm shift, that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing here. And to hear how it's happening for people, it's just the best, I think. Thank you. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jackie, I do know you have another testimony to read, and it is quarter after the hour. How would it be to share this one next month in the testimony?
We'll leave it till next month, and actually it'll probably be better if it's left till next month, because this is a very extensive post-surgery from 2 spinal operations for an 81-year-old man. So this would be better to be left for another month down the track, because it's a very powerful one.
Great. Yeah. I have no doubt. It's a very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Before we finish, Vaughan, just one thing. I know somebody was talking about with Climax, and I spoke to Dr. Ahrens about this just for my own health with dosages. Just with my pain management and for others that I've noted, but I asked him for my own, because it's the first time in 52 years that I have not taken a painkiller, not even a Panadol, for the last 7-8 weeks. And I had a call with Dr. Rajan, and we were both crying on the call because I can't believe it. But what Dr. Ahrens had suggested to me to do, because he's been gracious enough to work with me since Vegas, was that if I was getting pain at all, I've got one of those really tiny little minute little plastic spoons that you get with your coffee, the really small ones. And I just put a dose of that, like a teaspoon of that, in underneath my tongue dry, and just let that sit in underneath my tongue. And he said, don't put any water or anything with it, because it's a natural pain reliever. And it does go, as it absorbs, it's going into the bloodstream and goes straight to the, breaks the blood-brain barrier. Let me tell you, it works, because I was getting chronic, with the peripheral neuropathy cramps in my feet, where they would last for up to 2 minutes, because my husband would time them. So I felt like I was a bird that had died and fallen off the perch, because my feet would not stop cramping. It was insane. It was like labor pain. It was really bad. But just by putting that little teaspoon underneath your mouth, the tiny one, just base powder, it acts as a natural pain reliever, and it works. It's really amazing.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah,
That's a great tip. Yeah.
I'm a happy girl.
Yeah, no, all of us could share that with people. That's great, Jackie. Thank you.
You know, the comment too about getting things in, Debbie made the comment too, I think, to Candi, about doing things twice a day or even 3 times a day. You know, we eat 3 meals a day. You know, our bodies are needing nutrients to fire up the engine. We got to keep that engine going. We can't be starving it for fuel. And what we're taking with Emulin and Climax is fuel. It's food. It's food that our body recognizes as really, really pure, unadulterated, and it's going to go right in. And boy, like Jackie's talking about, getting it sublingually, oh man, that blood-brain barrier, and all the nerve endings go from the brain, and it goes down that spinal column, goes out to the organs and the tissues, and we're going to have great relief, definitely.
Ron, I've even got to say, and I know we're running out of time, but it is with dosages while we're on it really quickly. Both Dr. Ahrens, Dr. Stefano, and Dr. Rajan told me very specifically, because of my complex health, to make sure that I do take this 3 times a day. And what I actually discussed with him was, because I had an 8 to 10 hour period overnight where I was taking nothing, and then I would be waking up and it would be pain in the morning. So I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, like most people do. So if I'm finding that I've got a bit of pain, I'll take an Emulan, and I will take that little tiny spoon, dry, put it under my mouth, and that gets me through the night. So I'm waking up the next day so much better. So I haven't got that big break in that 8 to 10 hours when we're sleeping, and you're waking up on the back foot trying to get going again. And I can honestly say personally, life has really changed for the better, even just doing that again. So it makes a big difference. It's just a little tip that might help somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's an important one to remember, that just because we're sleeping 8 to 9 or 8 hours, that some of us do need that break in between to be fortifying, keeping it even in the bloodstream. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. And actually this ties into also what Patsy had written here in the chat that I want to also verbalize for her, where she says, she writes, I have eczema and I don't eat sweets, dairy, or eat junk food. A lot of skin issues are due to poor liver health, generations of copper overload, or what she knows about. So she was also suggesting upping the Climax dose from 2 half scoops to 3 to 4 half scoops. So it's exactly just, I mean, what we're all saying. And Ron, you would be happy. I do take it 4 times a day myself.
Wonderful.
I like keeping it sustaining. Don't want my fuel to go empty. Okay. So if there's not anything else, I would love to just be completing. I know Debbie does such a great sharing the announcement about the promotion for this month in April. I just, Debbie, do you mind sharing about that?
Sure, absolutely. I couldn't find my mute button there for a minute. The promotion is for all of April, and it's anybody new coming into the company with a gold pack, which is 10 bottles of Emulan E. It's only Emulan, not Climax for this particular promo. The new member not only gets their 10 bottle pack, but they get 2 free bottles. And a new platinum member gets their 20 bottle pack plus an extra 5 bottles. So think about that for sharing, or, you know, selling at a really low price, or, you know, just to get people started. It gives you that extra benefit. It takes your price down to $46 and $41 a bottle respectively, if you do the math. And then the enroller is receiving an extra 50% of the volume. So for the gold pack, instead of 400, they're getting 600 points. And for the platinum, instead of 800, they're getting 1,200 points. So, you know, that just is an extra bonus for you and the new person coming in. So I think that's an excellent promo. Only another few days. We're the 25th.
Right, yeah, next Monday is the end of the month. Yeah, that's why I just thank you, because it is phenomenal to get it at that price.
Absolutely.
I know I've been going to all my customers and letting them find out about it, because it's really, I'm just so amazed the company's giving this to us. So thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who came to share, everyone who's attended the call, all the heart that's here, all of the great tips. There's so much that got shared, and I'm going to be bringing to my people as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, I want to just give a warm embrace to all of us into having a fabulous night as we stay balanced in our new paradigm with our Emulan and our Climax. So thank you all. Have a great night.
And see you next week.
Yes. Jackie.
Yeah.
Did you want to share about what we're going to do next week?
Just very quickly, because I know we're running out of time. So we've got the most beautiful young lady, Ashley Wennick, that's coming on next week to talk about the 7-day weight loss reset program. which is going to be really exciting because it's how it's come about, who the doctor was that developed it, and what the results have been from that. But also we're going to go into Ashley's personal life herself too, a little bit like we did with Laura and Britt, into the new millenniums and how they're bringing Emulin and Climax and Igalin into their families and just starting to spread the word. This lady is a very exciting young lady and a very grounded woman, and I'm looking forward to interviewing her after speaking to her yesterday. So please try and join us because I think you'll get a lot from her.
I know we will. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. Yay! Okay, everyone.
Good night, everybody.